Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Virender Aggarwal, Company Secretary, and it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the 24th Annual General Meeting of Ramco Systems Limited. This meeting is being conducted through video conferencing as per the circulars and notification issued by SEBI and Ministry of Corporate Affairs in this regard. Company has facilitated the members to join the meeting using CDSL platform from various locations. Now I request Chairman Sir to introduce the directors and other attendees.
So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome all of you to the 24th Annual General Body Meeting. And I have the pleasure now of introducing members of the board. I'd like to introduce Srimati Saundara Kumar, Independent Director and Chairperson of the Audit Committee. Shri M.M. Venketrama, Independent Director and Chairman of Nomination and Remuneration Committee. Shri A.V. Dharmakrishnan, Non-Executive Director. Shri R.S. Aggarwal, Independent Director. Shri Shankar Krishnan, Non-Executive Director. Then Shri PSS Justice Janardhan Raja, who's an Independent Director, and Shri P.V. Abhinav Ramasubramanian Raja, Full-Time Director. I will also like to introduce the other attendees. Shri Virender Aggarwal, our CEO. He's joining us online from Singapore. Then with me is Mr. Ravikula Chandran, our CFO, and Shri K. Srinivasan, our statutory auditors. Shri Chella Krishna, a partner internal auditor, and Shri Ram and Shri R. Shivasubramaniam, our secretarial auditors. And of course, with me is also our company secretary, Mr. Vijay Raghavan. And I hereby confirm that the requisite quorum has been met and the meeting is called to order. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman Sir. Members, now I'll take you the proceedings, process of the meetings. Members may please note that the e-voting process has been explained in the 24th AGM notice. 23rd July 2021 is the cutoff date fixed by the company for a dispatch of annual report. And if any members acquired shares after 23rd July and holding shares as on e-voting cutoff date 12th August, for those members, company has sent a mail individually, the notice and the annual report 2021. The company had provided the remote e-voting facility for those members who hold shares as on e-voting cutoff day, that is 12th August 2021. And the same was remained open from Monday, 16th August 2021, 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. on 18th August 2021, Wednesday, yesterday evening. The facility for e-voting has been made available to the members at this meeting also. Members attending the meeting through VC who have not already cast their vote can cast their vote now. Members who already voted during the remote e-voting session can attend this AGM but cannot vote again. And members attending this AGM through e-voting module and voted but not presented during the meeting cannot be counted for the quorum purpose, since it is available, since the counting is only for those members who vote and attend the AGM. Members may also note that the notice of 24th AGM was circulated to the members along with the annual report containing the board's report, corporate governance report, CG report, auditor's report, and financials of the company, and hence the same may please be taken as read. Members may also note that the independent auditor's report issued by Mr. Jagannathan and Krishnaswamy and second audit report issued by Mr. Sriram from Krishnamurthy and Co. Company Secretaries are unqualified and modified one. Hence the same may please be taken as read. Members may please note that the statutory registers and documents as required for inspection as per Companies Act and SEBI, and along with the certificate from statutory auditors on regarding the compliance of ESOPs is made available electronically for inspection. Those who want to inspect may kindly write their mail to me, Company Secretary, vijayaraghavan.ne@ramco.com. I now request the Chairman Sir to deliver his speech.
So good afternoon, everybody, and I welcome you all to the 24th Annual General Meeting of the company. I'd like to first go through the highlights of the year 2021. The revenue was, the global revenue in dollar terms was 85 million versus 81 million. There was a 5% growth over the previous year. EBITDA was 25 million versus 16 million, a 58% growth. Profit after tax was 7.5 million versus 1.45 million. And borrowing is nil at the end of the year. We repaid about 96 crores through the year. And we hope to be able to improve on this in the coming years. The company has completed 24 years since its incorporation at the end of 2021, and it is entering the 25th year. Regarding our order booking, we continue to operate the COVID-19 infected environment, adapting to new challenges. Order booking of 110 million showed an upswing of 21% compared to 90 million last year, all in US dollars. And the aviation sector showed almost 100% growth, and logistics 148% growth. And core ERP and HRP showed flat growth and a slight dip. We've had some very large deals from a European MRO called Iberia, and we continue to add marquee names to the customer list in our aviation division. Totally, we secured 22 deals with order value greater than 1 million against the same number of last year also. Average new customer order size is on the increase, about USD 1.58 million during the year, up from USD 0.23 million, but since 2014. Unexecuted order book at the end of the year is a healthy $183 million compared to $163 million last year. Our global revenues. Now, global revenue, non-Indian revenue was 76% last year. And we have also recently opened an office in Japan. And on the human resources, our focus on people and culture-related initiatives continue. The average age of our workforce stood at around 29 years. Headcount stood at 2,025 on March 31st, 2020. And our global workforce from 20 different nationalities includes Americans, Filipinos, Indonesians, Singaporeans, Chinese, Australians, amongst others, including Spanish and other European nationalities. An equal opportunity employer, we have 38% women employees, among 38% women employees. We started a CEO club last year as an initiative to attract and develop and retain future leaders and subject matter experts, and is resulting in good and is yielding good results. In our innovation and R&D, we are a product-centric company. We are a product company, so innovation R&D is important. A technology refresh is being undertaken to revamp our user experience and technology, specifically for our ERP product, which will again percolate to other products soon. And innovation remains a driving force that differentiates us. Our major innovations involve around very low-touch UI. We call it zero UI. We are incorporating artificial intelligence and machine learning right into our product infrastructure. And we are bringing in a concept called frictionless computing, so that with very little human touch, a lot of the transactions automatically take place. And then, of course, event-driven notification, personalization, and so on. These are unique features we are bringing into our product. Operations SPU global HR and payroll due to continued lockdown on account of COVID. In most of the ASEAN countries, HRP business took a dip. We secured a multi-million-dollar deal from a global Fortune 500 major, a telecom networking equipment and consumer electronics company, to unify and transform its payroll across 18 countries, the Asia Pacific region, on Ramco's managed payroll services. Specifically on the aviation and aerospace and defense area, aviation business did well, with order bookings almost doubling compared to last year. Ramco Aviation Software established itself as a top 3 aviation software, with 8 of the top 10 heli operators, 4 of the top 4 US ADA services companies, 2 of the top 5 aircraft OEMs, and 2 of the top 5 MRO using Ramco Aviation Software. Iberia Maintenance, one of Europe's leading MRO services providers, has signed up for Ramco Aviation Software, which will replace multiple systems to unify operations. This is a very large deal for the company, and this is opening up opportunities in other parts of Europe. A leading helicopter OEM has taken Ramco Aviation Software to digitally transform its global MRO operations. US systems integrators for defense now actively talking to us for the new age aviation products like eVTOL and UAV segments, and is showing immense potential for the company. Sorry. Sorry. Yeah, and these are some of the slides showing you some of our marquee customers. So I think aviation and defense software is emerging as one of our extremely strong points. We hope riding on that, we will be able to scale to larger heights in that sector. The other part of the business, ERP and logistics, a leading Malaysian utility and infrastructure conglomerate, MMC Corporation, embarked on a major digital transformation of 5 ports by implementing Ramco ERP. A major industrial house of India also awarded order for our ERP. On the logistics front, Toll Logistics, one of Asia's leading integrated logistics provider, with operations in road, rail, sea, air, and has chosen Ramco Logistics ERP to transform the complete supply chain operations of its chemicals business division in Australia and New Zealand. Also, a major industrial conglomerate, some in India also are starting to use our software. On the cash flow front, focus on operational efficiencies have made prepayment prepayment requirement during the year. The entire borrowings of 96.25 crores have been repaid in comparison to the borrowings of 14 to repayment of borrowings of 14 crores during the last year. The company also has had many awards and recognitions, which we will go through in brief. It's positioned as a leader in software use in ERP data quadrant. It won the ISG Paragon Award 2020, won the Transformation Award with Cobham Aviation Services for delivering digital transformation, and the Collaboration Award with Northscope Australia for enabling ERP transformation. It's positioned as a facilitator in Nucleus Research's WFM technology value matrix, and so on. So on the whole, that we are positioning ourselves quite well, and we hope that all these things will lead to a good, solid future. Outlook for 2021, we will continue with the initiatives already launched. The technology refresh, the user experience refresh will be a big focus for us. So which may temporarily, slow us down in some of the markets because we want to focus on getting the product right. But we think that is important for the long run. And that HR and global payroll and logistics will continue to be our focus for growth, apart from our aviation and defense products. Business growth depends on lifting of lockdowns, particularly in the ASEAN countries. It's becoming very difficult to actually meet people and make sure that we can close orders. So that though there are many negotiations going on, closures are taking time because of the lockdowns. That is the nature of our products and businesses. And we will also be leveraging our partnerships with majors like Oracle and Workday to make sure that our payroll software gets adopted by many more companies. We're also expanding our investments in new geographies, and will be done as needed. As we get leads and orders in those countries, we will expand our investments in new geographies. So this is the brief summary our company for the year. I will now have our company secretary.
Thank you, Chairman, sir.
Take through the things.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. Can we go for Q&A sessions?
Yes, please.
Members, the floor is open for Q&A session. Company has enabled a two-way communication for the members to interact during the AGM. Members desirous of speaking during the AGM were already requested to register with the company. We got 6 requests for speaking during the AGM. I will call upon one by one. The CDSL moderators will unmute the concerned speaker and others can be on mute. Mr. Rohit Balakrishnan.
Sir Rohit, you can speak now.
Yeah, hello. Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for this opportunity. Sir, I have a few questions. So, sir, if I understand, first, my questions are related to the HRM business. So, if I look at the business over the last 2-3 years, it has stagnated around $25 to $30 million. And I just wanted to understand what is the reason for us to not sort of scale beyond this. I also understand that we are transitioning from license to cloud, so maybe that is the reason, but would just want to understand a bit more from the management. Also, sir, in this business, we have talked about entering into the US and Europe markets. Can you share a bit about what is our right to win in these markets? Because these are usually, there are already incumbents there, and how do we sort of dislodge them? And in terms of our partnership, we have talked about Workday and Oracle. So again, is it that Workday and Oracle don't have payroll processing as a part of their product, or is it something else, or is it something that they, in the countries that they don't have or don't want to develop, they are going to partner with us? So if in that context, how will our US sales be? Is it going to be beyond Oracle and Workday in US, or and Workday and Oracle in other parts of the apart from US? So that was the second question. And do we have any system integrators for HRM specifically working with us? And if you can talk anything specifically about that, if you have worked with any system integrators, or any relationship that has become very that you seem to think will become significant in the next year or so. Essentially, sir, just want to understand. I mean, can HRM business grow from the current $30-odd million to probably $80-85 million in the next 3-4 years, given whatever you've been doing? That is one. And maybe in HR business also, you can share if we started with one business unit in one country and then moved to other countries, and has this trend accelerated for us? So that was on HRM. Then I have a few questions on, in general, other parts of your business.
So can we first finish this? Otherwise, we'll forget all the questions you asked.
Sure.
So maybe I will have our CEO answer this because you have a lot of details also you've asked. But in general, I'd like to say, what was the first question?
So,
HR business.
HR and payroll business about this.
What is the first question?
My first question was, sir, that it has stagnated around $25-30 million over the last 2-3 years, and
Yeah, I think the basic reason has been, like you correctly said, we've been shifting away from licensing model to the cloud and basically the subscription model. So that has changed the dimension. And in the coming years, though our booking has been steady, our new order booking in ASEAN and so on and so forth has slowed down a bit because of COVID. That is also putting a dampener in our whole business. So, but the CRM pipeline, the pipelines continues to be healthy. And we hope in the coming quarters or so we can start picking up the pace again. So that's basically the situation there. What is the other question?
Again, question is about entering Europe market. What is the
Maybe I
question?
can. It's about entering into Europe and US and the situation there. I think CEO may have better information on that. I'll have to ask him to talk about it.
So I think the question on US and Europe strategy, we do not intend to sell on a standalone company to US. US will be sold only to global multinational deals where there's a requirement for multi-country payroll. So the intention is not to compete with the local players in US market. And the deals that are brought by Oracle and Workday, we will not be competing with them in US market. So we will not be offering our payroll for that market. So it is meant for global deals, whereby Europe appears as one of the major countries that we need to do. We are offering only few countries in Europe. We are offering right now 5 countries at the current moment of time, and we will increase this number to 8 or 9 over next 6 to 9 months. US, we are right now don't have a client, but we are open to working on US, and we have some clients which are going live with the US benefits and leave module. Then your question was on Workday and Oracle. Workday and Oracle have their payroll only for very few countries, and they do not have payroll for most of the countries in Asia, Middle East, and Africa. That is where our strength lies. So it's in their interest to partner with us. We have a fairly significant pipeline. About 30% of our pipeline for our HRP business is from Workday and Oracle. And especially with Oracle, we are closing more business. With Workday, we are waiting for a formal signing up on the Workday certified connector. Once that happens, we assume that Workday opportunities will also increase. Another question you mentioned about was what system integrator. We have closed business with 2 of the Indian system integrators, and our product has been bid by some global system integrators as well. In terms of implementations, our product is implemented by 3 of the 4 big 4. So they implement our product. They offer our platform to various customers. Sometimes they implement on their own. Sometimes they take our help. So that was your question on system integrator. And the other major reason, apart from what the chairman explained, for the stagnant growth is booking in Asia has dipped significantly. So it has become half of what it used to be, in the range of $45 million or more. It's primarily because Asia is very high touch market, and till the time we are able to travel, booking business in Asia is going to be difficult. Other than Asia, all other regions have done well. Last year, particularly Americas and Europe did extremely well for us. So as the markets open up, Asia should be back again, the normal peak run rate. Any more question left unanswered?
yeah, sir, just which I was trying to just on a broader scale, can this $30 million kind of run rate that we have yearly in HR business, can this sort of touch say $50-60 million or even more the next 3-4 years, given whatever we have been doing in terms of partnerships, entering new markets, and in general as we sort of strengthen our position in our existing markets?
So we don't, make forward-looking statements. However, yes, the potential is definitely there because every company needs HR. The kind of automation that we are driving, we should be able to implement a lot more faster than we have been doing, and maybe able to accept smaller orders as well, because it requires a lot of automation and minimum spend in every implementation is required. So possibilities are not definitely yes.
Yeah, basically, we're trying to explain to what our CEO was saying. We are maturing rapidly in this payroll platform, and as the payroll platform, which is quite unique, has been built out, we are automating the implementation more and more, so that even that is becoming much lower touch. I think we still have some work to do, the last 10-15%. And so as we finish that full automation more and more on all these areas of implementation and have zero customization in every country and so on, then I think the scale of growth can be rapidly improved even further. But till that time, we are being a little more cautious because it's a very sensitive area. We cannot make any mistakes. So that is why you're seeing this. And the last 10-15% automations are quite tricky. We're putting all our efforts to make sure that happens. Because as you know, the first 90% is always easy. The last 10% takes a lot more effort. Maybe we can add a little bit to that.
I think this is, I think the response is fine. Maybe we'll look at other customers from other shareholders. Questions.
I had some other questions. Can I go ahead, or?
I think let others also have a chance.
Unless you do something.
Thank you, Rohit. Mr. Hardik Jain. Mr. Hardik?
Mr. Hardik is not joined.
Okay, fine. Mr. Dinesh Amartlal Kodicha?
Sir, no, he is also not joined.
Okay. Mr. Faisal?
Yeah, available. Mr. Faisal, you can speak now.
You can go back to the first.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So my question is to Mr. Venketrama Raja. First up, sir, we have backed this ERP in Ramco systems from almost 20-25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been following the Ramco group from a very long time. And generally, we are very conservative with our capital allocation and our decisions to invest into any company.
Mm-hmm.
So I find it actually very heartening, and as well as a big validation that the Ramco group supports a company which has not really done too much revenue wise over almost the first 2 decades. So what is actually driving you to really support this, and what is the belief that you think that this company can do? Because finally we are like so well established in cement with excellent profitability and so well established.
Yeah, I can answer that.
And then I would like to address some questions to Mr. Vijay Aggarwal.
Yeah. I understand exactly what you're saying. So the basic thing is, what is driving us is, I think we have built some very, very valuable assets, especially if you see in the aerospace, defense, ERP, HR. We've built some very, very valuable assets, which are difficult to replicate. And we think that if we can get the whole execution, which we are continuing to develop right, and get the movement thing, there's enormous potential for this. And something like this cannot be recreated because it's a lot. It's a huge amount of work, and the complexity involved is very, very high. So it is, and now we are in a position where we've repaid all the debts and things are moving. So we are fully behind it to make sure that it reaches its full potential. So it is something which is I think, very important in for a country, I believe. Yeah.
So, you feel that another 5 to 6 years and we could be competing directly with a company like say SAP or even Salesforce, and
So,
once the SaaS platform is totally operational, the revenues could really go higher up much quicker than they have in the last 25 years.
see, complex products like this, if you look at the companies which are really in the ERP space, I'm not talking about the new startups which are focused on one segment and they have lots of funding and they grow in valuation very rapidly and so on. But if you look at this full-blown ERP segment and so on, there are about 4 or 5 large majors. And every one of them have matured over many, many years actually. And so we are also maturing, and there are 1 or 2 segments which are showing enormous potential, like our aviation and defense and our payroll, logistics, and so on. So we believe that, but the technology is also rapidly changing. So we believe that we have to get the balance between those two right. And I think the direction towards getting the technology, user experience, and so on, we are putting a lot of effort into that. So we believe that with all these things, we should have a very good possibility to create and acquire a lot more new customers. And if you see a CRM, I mean, if you see a pipeline, it's extremely healthy. So, but the caveat here is every one of the decisions which people make is extremely important for their business. Whether it's an aviation defense product or a logistic product, payroll product, they're all critically hitting the heart of their businesses. So the decision cycles are low. And as in more and more Western companies adopt us and happy, I think the cycle will pick up faster. And I have a feeling in 1 or 2 of these segments, we'll definitely grow to be a leader.
Which 2 segments, sir, we could be a leader?
We are already, not from a revenue point of view, already from a product point of view, we are being considered one of the best in the world for aviation and defense already. And our HR and payroll product, the platform is also one of the most unique platforms. And if you see our logistics product is one of the unique products, but it's a very early stages for the product because the product takes years to mature. And I think it's getting there. And so and the ERP, of course, is a large integrated product where you have many more competition. But that is necessary to drive all these other pieces. So that is very important too. So if you look at from a product point of view, we're already quite a big leader, almost there in aviation defense and in the payroll platform too. Yeah, I would like maybe Mr. Aggarwal also to contribute to this.
I think in helicopter maintenance segment, 70% of the 7 of the top 10 large operators are on Ramco, which is a very formidable share. We have started winning significant business in the maintenance, repair, and overall space. The entry into defense and air taxis, what we call it eVTOL segment, vertical takeoff and landing space, that is a very good opportunity because almost everybody seems to be investing a huge amount of money into air taxis right now. There are new markets opening up, and air taxis are considered helicopters from regulation purposes. So we have 70% of the 7 of the top 10 operators running on Ramco. I think we are well positioned for this segment, and that is opening up a huge opportunity. Global payroll, we have multiple Fortune 100 customers who have signed up. Such big names have signed up primarily because of the uniqueness of the platform, and nobody offers on a single platform 3+ countries. And we have not done any acquisition. All our competition does acquire companies and have a disparate platform. So everything is running on a single platform that offers a tremendous amount of edge. We have to get the execution right now because these 2 are unique IP, which are not replicable easily by anybody, and neither there is much competition in these 2 areas. The third area of logistics, as Mr. Raja explained, is we are maturing in that segment. There are a lot of startups in the transportation management area, but there is hardly any company which covers both warehouse management and transportation management. So we feel that the other two products are maturing in a fairly high maturity stage and maturing further. Logistics is something we will take a few more years to mature. These three segments have a very unique differentiation in the market. So there is reason to believe that we can do better, much better.
So, how do we differ from those startups which chairmen have referred to, which really pump in a lot of money and then they drive their revenues, and
see, one is they are dealing in what is called the consumer segment, and second is B2C segment. The second is they are dealing in very small deal values, and typically most of them are making cash losses. And their growth and revenue and valuation is being driven primarily by the revenue growth that they show. So I think it's still to be seen how the whole thing happens. I'm not discrediting them, but so we are not in that startup model. So we are not buying customers or the headcount or the numbers by pricing ourselves in that range.
So would you be able to give me a 4 to 5 examples which where we have won some order over competition which has been from either Salesforce or SAP or some companies of that ilk?
See, the Iberia that you saw the order, they were existing customer of one of the big 3 ERP players. And that's a $6 billion revenue group, Iberia group of IAG group. Despite the whole of IAG group having a SAP, this order came to us, and after more than 3 years of evaluation. Apart from that, one of the largest helicopter manufacturer in the world, while they for the manufacturing operations they run SAP, they came to us for their maintenance operations. Similarly, one of the largest logistics companies in the country has chosen our platform after running one of the top 3 ERPs for many years. And closer home in Chennai, we have had one of the large industrial group move away from Oracle to Ramco. So there are enough and more cases where this has happened. And I can tell you that there are only 2 companies in the world who can compete on engine maintenance, engine MRO. It's a very complex area. So there are unique differentiators for us. We have to monetize them better.
So, how do you think that shareholder value could be created? Because this kind of a company is very difficult to be understood by Indian stock markets, and with the easy money going on of sloshing around the world, we may get offers even at 50 times sales or 60 times sales to be acquired or something, and or we could look at alternate listings. So are we considering anything of that kind? Because now it's almost that even the promoter group has really nurtured this company for 20-25 years, and it's only because of the lineage that they have and the kind of importance that they do to doing business the right way that this company has actually survived over the years. So would we be okay to go into such a pinnacle where it creates value for everybody?
See, that is as a shareholders, you're right to say that we have to create value for everybody, but it's also important that we make the company strong in various ways where it becomes invaluable. Then the value will automatically be created, and we look at all possibly to make sure that the value to the shareholders come through. But the important thing now is to make sure that the potential which we have created in 1 or 2 of these segments is fully exploited. I think that is a fundamental requirement first for the value to be created.
Thank you, sir. And
Thank you.
I must commend the Ramco group to have built up such a valuable asset, and
Yes.
it's always my prayers that we make this go where
Success.
it should. Yeah.
I share your sentiments. I share your sentiments.
This is something
forward.
I cannot even express as what you may have gone through over the last 25 years with this company, and having I think this is the only example of a very, very, very successful group, backing a company which doesn't give it much revenues or much profit or even much joy, yet, backing it up through and through, it's really commendable.
No, we will back it through because we think that it's valuable assets and whatever it takes to make it happen,
What I mean is, like, in cement, nobody can beat you. You are like, low cost, and your brand is recognized. And for such a chairman to really, deal with a company where you are like, a fifth standard boy, where you are learning the ropes of the game, and I mean, to support this company, I mean, it takes a lot of courage.
Thank you very much. But there's no win without going through the thing in complex businesses. You have to do the trench warfare before you can do anything else. That's what we are doing now. Yeah.
Best of luck, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Faisal. Celestine Elizabeth. Celestine Elizabeth.
Not joined, sir.
Not joined, fine. Mr. Govindaswamy K.
Virender Swami also not joined.
Okay. We can go back to Mr. Rohit Balakrishnan.
You had some other questions, right?
Mr. Rohit, you can speak now.
Yeah, thank you again for coming back to me. Thanks for the opportunity again. Sir, just three more questions. So in terms of, like, I think at the end of June quarter, I think our order book was around 189 million. So can you just share what is the time it will get to execute this and booked in terms of revenue? And broadly, if you can share the breakup of this order book in terms of implementation, subscription, and AMC.
CFO.
See, the order book, as on a particular is a combination of, as you rightly said, the services, mainly the services, the AMC. So normally the services will get accounted in the next 1 year or so, maximum 12 to 15 months. Whereas the service, the other revenue, the subscription or the AMC will accrue over the next 4 or 5 years. So on an average, as a ballpark figure, you can take 3 to 4 years as the time period over which this revenue will be utilized. The order book will be utilized.
It's about 4 years average.
And sir, what is the mix right now in terms of the order book, in terms of implementation versus subscription? Broadly?
The predominant portion will be AMC. I don't have the figure right now, but we can let you know about it.
Okay. The other question was, sir, I mean, so I think we've had some issues in terms of bad debts that we've written off over the last few years. So just want to understand first, what is this issue? Is it related to some issue with our product? Is it related to some issue with our execution? What segment? Is it ERP? Is it something else? If you can just sort of explain it. I've gone through some of your old con calls, but I've not been able to understand it properly. And also, if you can just say that, is there probably, an end to this issue in the near term, or this will keep on happening? Because I don't see a lot of other companies having this issue persistently. So I just want to understand it in more detail, if it's possible.
Yeah. So I can answer that. Basically, this is pertaining to implementations across the world. We have something like 200 projects going on all over the world. And over the last 5 years, we've done maybe more than 3,000 to 4,000 crores worth of projects going. And we find that the quality of our customers are slowly improving. But in the early years, and sometimes we do get customers who are very difficult to work with, and things like that. So sometimes we may have to pull back the order, or sometimes they may cancel it because they say, "Oh, we thought you had this, you don't have this," and so on. So about 3 to 4% every year, 3 to 4% of these things, we saw that trend. So we think it's prudent to be able to keep that as a sort of a provisioning, and that's what we are doing. And that pattern seems to be there. But we feel that with more and more optimization and subscription and all those things, the percentage may come down over the next 2 years.
Got it. And sir, in terms of so we have 3-4 products, right? ERP, logistics, aviation, defense, and HRM. So do we have different sales team for each of them, or is it more consolidated that the sales team are broadly the same?
They're broadly the same, though we are trying to, though the pre-sales teams are different and the SBUs are different. The geographical teams coordinate all of that, so which are more or less unified. But there is some specialization, of course. For example, for aviation, we have a separate sales force and things like that.
Got it. And sir, in terms of, let's say, 3-4 years out, I mean, do you see both from a business mix and from a geography mix? Like I think around 30% is now, right now, I think one third is what, or largely HRM and aviation is contributing to sales. Let's say 3-4 years out, how do you see the revenue mix? Do you see one of these two, or ERP and logistics also to catch up? Like broadly, how do you envision this business 3-4 years out? And also in terms of revenue mix, like do you see Europe and US to have a higher share from what we have today? So just some perspective there.
It's very hard to say. It is see, if you take the ERP point of view, it's very important that our ERP product becomes a highly user-centric, user experience kind of product, where we are investing a lot of time and effort, so that over the next 8 to 10 months, we can have the first implementations going on this highly newly restructured product. At the same time, we are implementing complex ERP products now, and these products and these new things can work with the existing customers too. It's not that the customers, once they buy here, they cannot enjoy that. So that transformation is very important. If that happens, we think even the ERP, because the depth and breadth of a product is quite very, very good. So given the modernization of that, we'll definitely start powering the ERP product, especially the EAM and so on, to start moving forward. So, but given that the transformation is going on, I don't want to make any predictions on how that will grow. But given my current information, I feel that aviation and defense has a huge potential that can grow very well. And the payroll and the thing, if we get our relationships with the large vendors like Oracle, Workday, work very well and get that going well, that has also a very huge potential. And logistics product, with a few large customers which we're working with in Asia and some in Europe and so on. Those maturities, maybe in the next 8-9 months, we will know how quickly that will grow. If those things click, that can be as good as these two other businesses. So 3-4 years down the road, what will be the ratios of that is for me very hard to predict. But this is basically what is going on in our mind. So I don't want to hazard a guess.
Right. And from a geography standpoint, anything you want to say?
So geography standpoint, I think Asia, Australia will be very important. But given the strength of a product in aviation and defense so on, I think the US and Europe also will start being quite significant. And in the logistics area, I think Asia and Europe also can open up, and there are some possibilities in US also. And the restructured and re-energized, I mean, the new generation ERP, that will have worldwide appeal. We'll have to, once that is done, we'll have to see how to make sure that we expand the market scope for that.
Right. So just last question was, I mean, the reason why I asked the sales team question was that these products seem to be very
Different.
very different, right? So to be able to sharply go after prospects and also sort of be able to answer and be able to project oneself as being very knowledgeable about that industry. Do you think that at some point of time you will sort of have separate sales team?
It's definitely a possibility. At our scale today, having separate sales teams in the geography area can be, an overkill. But as of now, we definitely have separate teams which are demoing and interacting with the customer and all those sort of things. So the two things: one is Salesforce making sure that they're interacting with the customers, making the customers there. The knowledge part is definitely taken care of in a sharp focus by each of these pre-sales teams and SPUs. And as we go by, we already have for certain areas separate sales forces, and I think that will get more and more solidified as it comes. Maybe our CEO can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so the aviation has a separate global team and a common sales head across the globe. Having said that, while we have separate geography teams, but each region has a separate person for HR and payroll and for ERP. For example, in Australia, the HR payroll salesperson does not do ERP, and the ERP person does not do HR and payroll or aviation. So in that respect, we have team. But for example, if you have only one salesperson in Philippines, person tends to do everything. One person in Hong Kong tends to do everything. So wherever we have multiple people, at least two people, we have one person for HR and payroll segment. So there is a division taking place. We have not bifurcated with a global sales head like we've done for aviation. We will consider doing that for other business units, maybe in coming years.
Right. That's it pretty much. One suggestion, if you can probably either provide a recording of your con calls, it will be very useful. I think it's already been suggested to you. If you can take that suggestion, like a lot of companies provide their con call transcripts and recordings, it just is very useful. I know you provide a transcript or gist, but if you can sort of give a recording also, that will be useful. I think that's it from my side. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rohit. The session taken. In fact, if you see our transcripts are very exhaustive. See the last transcript, I think 18 pages. It's a virtual transcript of the con call. We'll consider that.
Thank you, Rohit.
Anything else? Next one.
Q&A.
Huh?
Q&A.
So,
Question and answers.
okay.
Now, let me read out the resolutions proposed for today's meeting. There are two resolutions proposed for this meeting. One is with respect to adoption of accounts, that is separate standalone and consolidated financial statements for the year ended March 31, 2021. And second resolution is reappointment of Mr. Shankar Krishnan, so Director retiring by rotation, RIN number 1597033. These are the two resolutions proposed for this meeting. And a voting is being done for that. And Mr. K. Srinivasan, Chartered Accountant from Jagannath Krishnaswamy Chartered Accountants, is the scrutinizer for this meeting. And he is being requested to submit his consolidated scrutinizer report to the chairman struck me for publishing the same to stock exchanges and for other compliance purposes.
So I think most of the agenda items have been completed. And I'd like to thank all the shareholders for the support, for all the support you have given so far. And I'd also like to thank our board of directors who have been rock solid and supporting us to all the throughout the year. Thank you, everybody. And I'd also like to thank the Ramco team headed by Mr. Virender Aggarwal and all the team who have brought us here, and I'm sure they will continue to do their best to make the company achieve its potential. I'd also like to thank CDSL and Mr. Karthik, who has been able to conduct this e-meeting flawlessly. Thank you very much. So I hereby bring this meeting to a close.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. Thank you, everyone.